Hello there, everybody. We are back from Thanksgiving. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving with their loved ones, regardless if it's family, friends, or whomever you love or you're thankful for. I hope you had a great holiday. Um, Lots of things have happened. Welcome. I'm giving everybody time to show up in the chat. I know it's a pretty interesting Monday from usual due to things that have happened over the weekend. A big returns happened for the other companies, so I know people are tuning in to see how that's going down and things like that. So give people time because I know that they are watching Pepsi Man, but it's good to see Randy Orton back in WWE. I am a Randy Orton fan, so all tribalism to the side, I do like to see Randy Orton. He looks healthy. He looks good, actually. So you got that. Mm. But if you're getting here, today this show is going to be a little bit different today. I'm not doing Dynamite Collision review, Rampage review, and I'm taking a week off doing women business. So I'm not doing the show's reviews. I feel like it's a lot of things that we, especially AEW fans, need to talk about. So I felt like it was important to get to it. So again, I'm not talking about Dynamite Collision or Rampage or Women Business. Women Business got the week off for good reasons. They have been killing it. So they deserve a week off from my criticism this week. So shout out to Women Business. So everybody has a week off of reviewing the shows. No, I'm not going to get into CM Punk today. I'm not going to get into Cody Rhodes or nothing like that. None of the main topics that's been happening this past weekend. That is for you could tune in on Wednesday, but you know the times is going to change on December 7th. They will be on Thursday on December 7th, but you could tune in to Wednesday with Public Enemies if they're gonna break down everything to you, but I'm not on today. Today we are going to talk about the MJF verse. We're going to talk about the Continental Classic. Those two. We're going to talk about those two. And the reason why we're going to talk about those two, it needs to be talked about, especially the Continental Classic, because that is definitely, I feel like it's going to set the tone for 2024. Okay, so we're going to get started for the MJF title reign. Now, I know this whole year during, my show, my regular topics, my regular reviews and feedbacks that I do speak on how I feel about his reign and his matches and things like that. But it's important to give the what and the why when it comes to any form of criticism when you're doing content, because it's dangerous to just give out your opinion without giving why you giving this opinion and facts to kind of back up your opinion. So I chose this week to just go into depth as to why the MJF verse is not necessarily working, and it's adding a bad layer to what the AEW championship means. So yeah, we're going to get into that. Okay, so first things first though. Now I'm not doing this because I personally don't like him, but it's just a genuine conversation that needs to be had with the MJF verse. But before we get into the MJF first we need to talk about exactly what the AEW championship means in AEW. Okay, there was a point in time John Moxley have said on a promo when even though he lost the title, but it was still, it still means something. And he said on a promo that the AEW World Championship means passion. He said it means passion, taking the dark and ugly side of the business and letting it die in another generation. I'm going to say it again because that's gospel. He said AEW World Championship means passion, taking the dark side of the business, the dark and ugly side of the business, and letting it die with another generation. That's gospel, okay? That's straight up gospel. And the emphasis on passion with the AEW championship. Now, let's do our history on the AEW champions that we have had so far in the company. The first, of course, my GOAT, Chris Jericho. Now, we don't have to include Jericho's reign when we're getting further on what I'm talking about, because reign was to draw viewership and newer eyes to the company. And Jericho did his job even with the Le Champion reign, as entertaining as it is. Now, people can argue saying, what's the difference between what MJF is doing and what Chris Jericho did? The difference is it was a new belt, new company, like a newborn baby. Little bit of the bubbly is Chris Jericho. They was able to trust Jericho. Jericho's the reason why they got the TNT deal. TNT was like, put the belt on this man. We want to draw more of an audience. That's why he was calling himself the demo guy. And he was drawing in an attraction because Jericho is a household name. So he was able to do those things and have these longer segments and these goofy segments because it's Chris Jericho. People are, at that time, was getting out of the frenzy of what they're used to with WWE and transforming into this new company. But you still kind of had to have a little bit of that while, drawn to this new company. So what better way to do it than Jericho, because he's been there and done that. For goodness sake, he was the first undisputed champion. He has multiple belts in his reign. He's used to being the face of a company. When the time being, Vince McMahon has always trusted him when some of the top people were injured or out. He will rely on Chris Jericho to fill in those shoes and fill in that void. If you wasn't around when it was that Survivor Series, when it was the Alliance versus WWE, we all know the original story. Triple H was supposed to, he was injured at the time, and Vince McMahon called Jericho. Jericho fit in perfectly. It was a perfect story because Jericho used to be a WCW guy. He was able to fill in that void. We know that Jericho wasn't originally supposed to be the first undisputed champion. It was originally supposed to be, again, Triple H, but he was injured. So they picked Jericho to fill that void, even though it was like, oh, he ain't able to do it, but he ended up making it work. So Jericho is able to make things work. So he comes into this brand new company and able, they strapped the belt on him. It was transitional because he is a vet. He understood, hey, I'm here to help the company out. It's a teamwork. So that's why we're not going to necessarily count that as to what I am talking about. And then next up, after Jericho, you had Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley, in my opinion, he is the beginning of adding that prestige to the AEW championship belt. He is the beginning of it and what it means to have the passion. What he means when, letting the old things die and the dark side die, and for the new generation. He had that. He understood that, and he had it in his aura with the AEW championship belt with his title reign. So that's why I want to start off with Moxley's first reign, because the Moxley's reign was the first prestigious for the AEW championship belt. So that way it won't look like just a fugazi belt or just another it doesn't mean anything, because we know when it's newer companies and they have championship belts, it never really mean anything. But when AEW started and then the belt got to Moxley, then it starts to, okay, we kind of need to pay attention to this company. We kind of need to pay attention to what's going on over there. It's proof in the pudding, because that's around the time that Trips was throwing shots, and it was back and forth on both ends, but they was starting to kind of pay attention, like, okay, this is, even though they was calling them a t-shirt company and stuff like that, but this t-shirt company is kind of making noise a little bit because they put the belt on Moxley. And then after, when they put the belt on Moxley, it still had that passion. Then it was Kenny Omega. Now, Kenny Omega, yes, you can argue that the character was goofy and he was a heel, but it had that passion because his in-ring storytelling, and within him being Kenny All Belts, it still had that prestige. And the proof is in the pudding, because around that time, the big debate was, is it Kenny Omega or is it Roman Reigns? Everybody, if you was in the IWC, you remember it was always a debate every single day, Kenny Omega or Roman Reigns. And the reason why it was like that, because again, the AEW championship belt, it still had that passion. It still meant something. It don't get no buzz if it doesn't mean anything. So it meant something. So even though, like, yes, some people didn't like Kenny Omega, they didn't like the heel, they thought he was dorky, stuff like that. But when he got in the ring, even with the little stories that they told with when he was defending the title, it still had that passion. It never lost the passion of what the AEW championship means. Moving on to Adam Page, the passion of that belt was still there. The story, everybody talks about that story still to this day between Kenny Omega and Adam Page. It was history. It was beautiful, and it still had that passion. Okay, so the prestigious was still there for the belt. It still had that passion. It never lost that passion that John Mox popped it off with. Y'all see where I'm going? Say amen in the chat if you feel what I'm getting. If you see where I'm going with this, okay? So you get from Adam Page. Now, it wasn't an exact reign, so I'm not going to talk about it too much a little bit, but I'm pretty certain if he did if the injuries and stuff didn't happen, I'm pretty certain that he would have had that passion, because he has been the top guy before. Even when he was champion at WWE and champion at ROH, he still had that passion. He knows what passion is. So I'm not going to say CM Punk wouldn't have had passion with his brand, but he had that passion. He's been the top guy before. He knows what a championship belt means, and he knows how to be a face of a company. So I'm not going to get into that, because again, we had the interim situation back to John Moxley, where the passion still continued. When he got the belt back, it still had passion. And even still with the story between him and MJF, which is why people was kind of excited at that time for MJF to receive the championship, because of the story and because the passion that John Moxley had for that belt. So if you see where I'm going with this, the AEW championship, it means passion. That passion has to be there in order for it to work in AEW. That is the key factor, because like I said, it started with John Moxley and it continued on. That championship, like he said, it takes that dark side and for the new generation. That's where exactly I'm about to get with. So when MJF won, everybody was happy. I was like, okay, let's see what he does with this, because everybody, he had that moment at Full Gear. When he won, everybody was happy. We was eager to see a young person, especially of that generation, become champion. Now, I don't agree with how he got it, because I don't like that he threw a whole temper tantrum to get his way or whatever, but he ended up being champion. And as soon as he got that belt, the passion was not there anymore. And I'm not saying his passion, I'm saying the passion for the championship. That's where the argument of, do the belt make the wrestler or do the wrestler makes the belt? Hello, somebody. That's where that argument comes in right now. So, not saying, again, I'm not saying that MJF probably don't have passion for wrestling, but the passion that was, passed down from champion, not in the same way, but in different ways, the passion stopped with him. Okay? He sucked that passion, what the AEW championship belt means, right out of it. Now, let's get into his whole his reign, okay? Because I took notes. I gotta take notes on everything I say, y'all. Let's get into the pros. Now, I'm not gonna straight down on his reign, but let's get into the pros of his reign real quick, because I know his pros and I see his pros, okay? One of the few pros that he has had as champion, yes, he has been champion for 371 plus days. His reigning and youngest AEW champion in AEW history. I do acknowledge that. Congrats for that. That is an accomplishment. Whoop-de-doo, okay? So he has had, in my record, 11 title defenses. We know that he wrestled against Ricky Starks, Bryan Danielson, of course, Darby Allin, Jack Perry, Sammy Guevara, Tanahashi, Adam Cole, Samoa Joe, Ethan Page, Kenny Omega, and Jay White. Okay? He's had great opponents. He hasn't had no scrub. He has had great opponents, okay? Also, he did added a little bit uniqueness to his reign. He was able to change the belt latches and things like that. It's like it looked like his scarf or some shit. So that was cute. You know what I'm saying? That was cute. I will say that he added something different. You can tell that his reign is different from everybody. So that's why I say it's unique. Unique is different. So he did add that, and he does, the crowd in the ring, like at the venue, he makes them do those cheesy chants. He's able to have them do any type of chants. He got them saying, I'm the devil. He got them saying, my scumbag, all types of stuff. He got them saying whatever. So I do acknowledge those pros, but those pros are not enough for the passion of what the AEW championship means. It's more than just catchphrases. It's more than just you making history. It's more than just your opponents. What does this all mean if it doesn't have the passion within it? So we're going to get into the cons of that, okay? So the cons, in my opinion, now, you don't have to agree with me, but this is just my opinion. This is my observation. I've been a wrestling fan since 95, okay? Yeah, so this is just my opinion, okay? The storyline on TV, it takes up way too much time. Way too much time. And like I said in the beginning, the only reason why Jericho was able to do that was to draw attraction to the fans, to draw attractions to new people that is eager to look at AEW. The difference between that and this, you don't have to do that anymore. We have our core-based fans. So you don't have to do that entertainment type segment too long, because you're going to draw it, you're going to get the reaction that you're getting, okay? Which is leading to my next point. The TV audience, the translation is not there. He has the in-ring audience, but he doesn't have the TV viewership audience. And if you know me, you know I'm not I'm not one of those I follow up the the viewership numbers and none of that. I just pay attention to the demographic numbers. I pay attention to the demos, because when I pay attention to the demos, it lets me know who is that guy, who is that girl, and why they have certain people on TV the way that they do. So when I look at MJF demos, most of his reigns, he is always the lowest as a champion. And I say lowest as a champion, not the lowest on the card, but the lowest as a champion, because like I said, the past champions, they always reach their demo. He is the only champion that has not reached their demo. He needs people to reach it for him. Case in point, Adam Cole. The demos changed for him once that Adam Cole story got involved. The Better Than You Baby saved his demo. Also, the Kenny Omega, saved his demo, even though we know it had more to do with Kenny Omega. And also, like I said, when it's a show, when it's just him as the face of the company, we see how it does with the charts. Okay, so yes, he gets the crowd to do Better Than You Baby and You're My Favorite Scumbag, but when people are looking at on TV, they are cutting it off, or it's just not there. You're not, it's not there. It's not translating. As a champion, you're not translating to the viewership. Like when you're a champion, you have to get both. Not just one, both. Whether you're a heel or a face, that is your responsibility as a champion to attract both, because you are the face of the company. Regardless if it's built by Kenny Omega or the Bucks and Adam Page, you're still the face of the company because you are the champion. You cannot always rely on the elite to do it for you. And I say that to say this, I could take it back again. So when Moxley had his first AEW championship run, because around that time, the elite was still, they was doing their own thing. They was having fun. You had Kenny Omega and Adam Page was doing the tag matches. Young Bucks was doing their tag matches. Like Kenny was just doing singles runs and things like that, while Moxley was the face of the champion. You want to know why? Because the elite was able to trust John Moxley to get the viewership there and also be the face of the company. On this part, you had to rely on the elite to get there in order for you to be there. You're the shadow of the elite. See, when John Moxley was the champion, it worked. It was half and half. They still was able to shine, while Moxley separately was still able to be the face of the company. You cannot do that, because when you do that, that's when you have, most of the time in his pay-per-views, he either started or he was midway or he didn't main event. And we know why he didn't main event. So that is kind of dangerous to do that, because now you already letting us know that we cannot rely on you as the face of the company. You still have to rely on the elite. The fans is like, where is Kenny? Where is Young Bucks? And we have MJF as the champion. We should be like, where is MJF? When MJF is gone or he's not booked for a week, nobody misses him. When John Moxley was champion, he was just gone for like a week. Folks panicked. Where is our champion? Even when we did have Kenny Omega booked, where is our champion? When Adam Page went missing a week or two, when he was champion, where is our champion? When MJF is gone, we don't care. You see what I'm saying? Give me an amen if I'm right. If I'm wrong, let me know. Give me an amen if I'm right. If I'm wrong, let me know. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if you see something different. Okay? So, and another thing, why me personally is not working. The stories has not benefited the opponents at all. None of the opponents benefited from the stories that he has done as champion. Now, when you're an opponent of a champion, you know you're losing. You're still going to, it's still going to be talked about. Like the match is still going to be talked about. It's still going to be, oh, he's going to get him next time. It still has something there. Other than that, it's like, oh, okay, well, next up. Case in point, everybody was pissed off on how Jay White lost. He lost to a man with one leg. It didn't benefit Jay White at all. The Iron Man match, it was a great match, but it didn't benefit Bryan Danielson. The Samoa Joe match, great match. It didn't benefit Samoa Joe. Tanahashi match, it didn't benefit Tanahashi at all. Curtis Wilson, what writers? MJF controls what he does. It's his ideas. This ain't WWE now. Y'all kind of have to, they don't have script writers, which is another problem, but that's a different subject. They don't have script writers like WWE. Some of these talent have control of their booking and what they want to do, which is why we always get on FTR. Some of these wrestlers have full control of what they want to do. So get that out your mind right now, because he's already done said it before. So none of the opponents, it doesn't benefit them. I agree. I disagree. No, it didn't. Samoa Joe had that spotlight before he even had that feud with MJF. No, it didn't. It's Samoa Joe. He don't need no spotlight. He is the spotlight. You talking like Samoa Joe is a scrub or something. Thank you. Wake it up. It was definitely more Darby Allin. Wake it up. It was definitely Darby Allin. So no, he did not benefit me. Nobody really, the opponents don't. And when I say the opponents doesn't benefit, I'm not saying like they need to get this and this and this. I'm saying as far as like being a memorable match. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying like, oh, he lost. So this, no, I'm saying as far as a memorable match. Again, to a testament to what I am saying, as people bring up all the time, the Kenny Omega and Adam Page championship match. Kenny Omega still lost, but they still talk about the match. It benefited both of them. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying like, oh, because they lost, blase. Ricky Starks is probably the only one that benefited from yeah, he did get pushed back down, but Ricky Starks probably is the only one that benefited more because that's when people around that time was talking more about Ricky Starks than MJF at that time, even after that match. It didn't benefit Ethan Page. Yeah, it's probably Ricky Starks, probably the most one. No, it has nothing to do with that either. C. Henry. You're speaking as if you are an AEW 2021 fan, but I don't know if you was here around 2019 when Cody Rhodes was making most of the decisions, and he still has PTSD from a lot of bad decisions Cody Rhodes was making when he had control creatively. So it has nothing to do with him wanting to be all. It's more of I can't trust these folks right now because when this dude was here, he had his wife coming out saying heifer. He had a boxer come out there to do a weight that was like he went out there talking about, having mixed babies in racism. Cody Rhodes' ideas was crazy. If you was here 2019, 2020, we was there when we saw Cody Rhodes in creative control. Okay. It was something. It was crazy. Okay. It was a lot going on. And I don't think it has nothing to do with the end all be all. I'm pretty sure everybody has great ideas, but now because people are saying that they love AEW, but then they're sneaking off and doing deals with WWE and then talking shit and stuff like that, it's going to have you not trusting nobody. It's going to have you back into a corner like, I don't know if I can trust these ex-WWE dudes. I don't know if they really want to be here. So it's not about he want to be creative control. It's more about who, the person I feel like sucked that trust out was when William Regal was there, and then just to find out that William Regal was secretly talent scouting for Triple H. So I don't think it had nothing to do with him wanting to be the end all be all. It's just like, now I got these folks here. I don't even know if they for AEW. I don't even know if they want AEW to succeed. I don't know what their agenda is now. Anybody would be like that. How can I trust you, my nigga, if you doing this? I think that's where he's at. Like, I don't know if I can trust these folks anymore because the game is greasy in wrestling. Like I said, it's a canary business. He probably got snakes in the grass and he's still trying to figure out who the snakes. Y'all got to keep that in mind too. It's just been too much stuff, happening these past few months. Because we could tell he was really happy to sign William Regal. And then just to turn around and find out, you watching folks for like you secretly plotting this whole time? But the game is greasy. So if anything, we better hope and pray don't make him come cold-hearted. Because some shit like that with me, if I was boss, I wouldn't trust nobody. I'll have a meeting and just flat out say, if you don't want to be here, go. If you liking shit that I don't like, you can go. But he got to clean up the fat that's going on in there. If they don't want to be there, they need to just go because you're not benefiting nobody. You got to go. You don't want to see AEW grow. You just mad because WWE had booked you a certain way. Off topic, like Andrade. Like, I don't know if people remember, but he wanted out of his contract with WWE because he was mad at how he was booking them. And now he's mad at AEW how like he wanted them too. So it's just like, if you want to go, just go. Just go. QT Marshall said today, go ahead, go, Cody boy, go. His own EVP left. his own EVP left. He tried to give him everything. Jade Cargill up and left after she said like 2 weeks prior at that brand, I ain't gonna say their names, I love AEW, this and this and this, just to jump on a podcast when she got signed to say, oh, at WWE was always the plan, blase, blase, blase. Like, that would fuck with anybody. He's trying to be a fair, decent boss, but wrestling will make you turn into somebody that you never thought you would be because how people do you. And it's just showing that these wrestlers are not as smart as they think, and they just as janky as these promoters. If you ain't learned nothing, you will learn that wrestlers are just as janky as these promoters. And they just taking advantage of somebody's kindness. Because who I'm talking about? I'm just talking about whoever. I'm just saying, like, wrestlers are just especially at AEW, what I've been saying, they just taking advantage of his kindness. Because they just like, oh, this man here, he this and this and this. We could get anything out of him. He's scared of me. Blase, blase. Oh, he'll give it to us. Everything that these wrestlers used to complain about at WWE, now somebody is allowing them or able to give them the freedom, and they taking advantage of that. That's why I'm like, maybe these wrestlers don't deserve good things. If you're going to be like that, maybe you don't. But back to my subject, though. But that's a good topic to talk about. But back to what I was saying, though. MJF verse. But what resolves that is the bigger question, which leads to my point that, and everybody always has this debate, what is more important in wrestling? Is it the stories or is it the in-ring? And stories and in-ring goes hand in hand when it comes to pro wrestling. It goes hand in hand. It's a song and dance. Now, what makes AEW different and special in my eyes, they do stories, but most of their stories are in-ring storytelling. Like, they will give you the promo, but not too much on the promo. They will tell the story in-ring. Case in point, Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy is probably one of my favorite in-ring storytellers. Definitely one of my favorite in-ring storytellers. He don't say much, but the story is shown in his in-ring ability, especially with his opponent. Like the Jon Moxley, him and Jon Moxley, that was a great in-ring storytelling. Moxley, Moxley cut his promos. Orange Cassidy resulted in doing some promos, but most of the substance in the storytelling between that rivalry was in-ring. I want to give another example that I saw this weekend that I don't see why nobody asked this man at that press conference. Nobody asked him. I was so disappointed. But Gunther and Miz, that was an in-ring storytelling. That was a story that had substance. And I'm not a Miz fan, so I'm not going to give credit to him. But I'm going to give credit to Gunther because the story with that was long reigning versus how many reigns. That was reigns versus long reigning right there. And if you don't know, if you didn't watch Survivor Series, what it was, if Miz ended up winning Gunther, he would have been tied with my GOAT. Now, y'all know I did not want that to happen at all. I did not want that to happen. But what ended up happening is, and like I said, nobody brought this up at the press conference, but Gunther tribute, he did homage to Jericho. He did 2 of Jericho's moves to beat the Miz. That's in-ring storytelling. That's in-ring storytelling because, first of all, Miz do not deserve to be tied in with Jericho. Let's start there. Second of all, Chris Jericho is probably top 5 Intercontinental champions in WWE history. You can argue with me or not, but he is top 5. I ain't say he was number 1. Personally, he's my number 1, but he is top 5 Intercontinental champions because the IC title has that prestige. It means something. That's another title that has passion. Passion. Gunther did the Walls of Jericho and I believe the Lionheart on him. It's passion with that IC belt. Macho Man, Shawn Michaels at one point. Like, it's different people that had the IC title. We know it was for like the next up for them to become champions soon. Or you always had to have that prestige mid card around that time, and that IC title represented that. We know, that famous WrestleMania that people be talking about, Andre and Hulk Hogan, but the match that outshined that match, in my opinion, because like I said, I'm an in-ring person, was of course Macho Man and Dragon. Y'all know him. We just saw him. Charge my mind, not my heart, y'all. Randy Savage. No, that's Macho Man. Put the name in the comment. You know who I'm talking about. Help me. I got a lot on my plate. Thank you, Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat and Macho Man for the IC championship. God damn. Thank you, y'all. Thank y'all. Because my mind was, that's what I'm talking about, Randy Savage. Oh, that's Macho Man. But yeah, so that was in-ring storytelling. I hate that nobody asked Gunther that. Like, we saw the Jericho homage because Michael Cole name dropped Chris Jericho, so they was able to say it. We noticed that you did the Chris Jericho homage. What did you think about Chris Jericho IC title reign? Or did you have a particular reason why you did Jericho's moves? But no, people want to ask dumb questions. But so the story and the in-ring goes hand in hand. But in AEW, the in-ring stories, it has to match the actual story. Like, they can do the story, but like I said, not too much. Like what he's doing with this whole MJF verse is not it, because it doesn't matter what the in-ring part, because we don't care, because we already know that you're going to win, because that passion is not there. If he had passion with the actual story, with the in-ring, he's not a bad wrestler. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's a bad wrestler, but that passion for what that belt means is not in this story that he's trying to do. It's not there. It's not there because he's not allowing it to be there. Because in his mind, he knows he's going to win. And what he do after every time the next following day, because it's repetitive what he does. He has a match and then he thanks the person for having a match a day after. He does that all the time. It doesn't matter. Yes, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna get to that point later. So the lack of passion is what killing this title reign for MJF. If you new here, if you just got in the chat, I explained it. I'm gonna say it one more time for everybody that missed it, because they probably like, what you mean he ain't got no passion? I'm telling you what it means. If you just got here, what I had said earlier, the prestige of the AEW championship started with Jon Moxley's title reign, his first one. And I added the promo of what he said, what the AEW World Championship means. He said it means passion and taking the dark and ugly side of the business and letting it die with the new generation. That's what Moxley said. We have not seen that quote in this reign at all. And if you miss it, you probably going to have to run it back the next day. But I explained how you saw it in Moxley, Kenny Omega, Adam Page, and hypothetically, it would have been CM Punk because, like I said, he has passion before when he was champion at different companies. That is missing in this MJF title reign. It's not there. It's not there at all. It's just something to get him over. He's thinking about self. He's not thinking about AEW because that's where that passion lies. Which what Jay White read him for filth for. Jay White kept saying that you're not all elite. You not worthy of this belt. When you hear people say that, that's what that means. The passion of all elite on that belt. It's more than just gold. It's more than just to say, yes, I'm the champion. You're the face of what all elite means. And if you don't have that, your reign is going to be lackluster like this is. Nobody talks about none of his matches. You don't see no type of discourse in regards to his matches. It's only his fans and maybe his buddies. That's it. You don't see no argument. You didn't see no outrage when he was number 6 in the PWI list. You didn't see none of that. What you saw people outraged that Orange Cassidy was number 2. No, Orange Cassidy was number 4 because the Shield was 1, 2, and 3. That's what you saw. That's what people saw. They was outraged about Orange Cassidy's placement. They wasn't outraged by MJF's placement. Nobody cared. You want to know why? Because that passion of what that belt means, it don't mean nothing no more. Right now, that championship belt do not mean a thing right now. It means nothing. Because he allowed it to mean nothing. It's not going hand in hand. But how can we fix it? Keeks, how can we fix it? I'm going to tell you how we can fix it. Now, some may not agree with me, but listen to what I am saying. I'm going to get there because I know the agenda of what we want. But let me get there, okay? This is how we're going to get there. I know majority of AEW fans, we were rooting for Swerve to be champion. I don't want him to be champion right now. And I'm not saying this year, well, in 2024. I do want him to be in 2024, but not right now. Let me get there and let me tell you why. Because that prestige of that passion for what that belt means, it has to be there so it can mean something when he wins it. Because if he beats MJF right now, it's not going to mean shit. Because that passion of what that all elite for that belt is not there. But let me tell you who will add it there. I know people be like, strap it on Samoa Joe. No. Put the belt back on Adam Page. Put the belt back on Adam Page, right? Make up for, because Adam Page had to drop it for the business, for the other man. Put the belt back on Adam Page. Let Adam Page get that passion back on that belt. Let him defeat it a couple of times. Give us the Swerve versus Adam Page part 3. Let him win that way. But the prestige, or it don't even have to be Adam Page. It could be somebody else with that same passion as Adam Page. Jay White. It can go from Adam Page to Jay White, then to Swerve. Either way it goes, I feel like the right thing to do, it will have to be Adam Page first. because Adam Page will add that passion of what that belt means. It will add what that belt means, because that belt means something. It's all elite. That elite, that passion has to be there for that belt for it to mean something. It will do a disservice for Swerve to win that belt right now against MJF because the lackluster of that title reign. It meant nothing. Yes, he is the longest reigning champion. Yes, he's the youngest, but it doesn't mean a damn thing. It means nothing. Nothing. So put it back on Hangman. Do him a good service as a transitional. Do him a good amount as a transitional. Do him a service so that way it can add that foundation that it once had back. Because he sucked the life out what that belt meant. Let him put the foundation and what the prestige of the AEW championship means. And then y'all can get what y'all want. Everybody gets what they want. That's how we can gain what the AEW championship actually means. Because people want to be champion, but they don't know how to be a champion. And they think being a heel is so easy. You still have to be a heel, and you still have to be the face of the company. You still have to be a heel, and you still have to be reliant. You still have to be a heel, and you cannot rely on people. Our champion has had to rely on the elite so much during his reign to save shows, to save main events, to save the pay-per-views. Can any of y'all let me know what pay-per-view has MJF had that put ass in seats? I'm buying this ticket to go see the main event. I'm buying this ticket to go see MJF versus this. None. Nobody can think of one. Probably, I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying. He does not put ass in seats. Yes, he gives us catchphrases. Yeah, but Bryan Danielson, it's because of Bryan Danielson. It had nothing to do with him. It had a lot to do with the opponent. And even the opponent that he's had that did All In. And they tried to argue me down. All In, they was like, well, he did 80K. He had 80K on their feet, blah, blah, blah. 80K was on their feet the whole match, the whole night. It had nothing to do with the last match. You can't say Full Gear because people wanted the Texas Death Match as the main event. Yes, if it's a good opponent. I mean, people are already wanting Swerve versus Will Ospreay at All In. Nobody talks about his matches at all. He is booked up with it's different people on the card, but nobody talks about his matches. They always talk about what the Elite has did. Either Kenny showed out or somebody, Orange Cassidy done showed out. Full Gear, Swerve and Adam Page showed out. Like, it's always somebody else is showing out but him. Him and Sammy are probably the only two pillars that nobody really talks about their match. People talk about Jack Perry because Jack Perry never missed in the pay-per-view. Darby Allin will put ass in seats. The Four Pillars match, who stood out the most? Darby Allin and Jack Perry. But mostly Darby Allin. So that's my point. That's my point with the MJF verse. It did AEW a disservice. And I always say, how the champion is how the company will be. How the champion is, it sets the tone of how the year will be. AEW went through some shit since he been champion. It was shit left and right. It never fails. It don't matter what company it is, whoever the champion is, it sets the tone for how the year will be for the company. I don't know why it's like that, but it's like that. It's proof. When Stone Cold had the belt, the company was hot. When The Rock had the belt, the company was hot. When Triple H had the belt, sometimes sometimes it was hot, sometimes it wasn't. It's sometimes. Even at WCW. When Goldberg had the belt, it was hot. TNA. It's just like that for wrestling. It's like that for wrestling. Now, I would say early on when Roman Reigns had the belt early during this whole reign that he's doing, like 2020, they was hot for a little bit. I ain't gonna lie, they was hot. It just sets the tone for how the year it will be. When MJF had the belt, what done happened? Folks got choked. We find out William Regal was on that grimy stuff. FTR booking, going to business for themselves. It was just so much shit happening. It was a lot of things going on. When Kenny Omega was champion, what was going on? We had fun. It was a fun time. Top to bottom, it was fun. Now, the women's division, it was iffy. But overall, it was fun. It was no drama. There was no drama going on. Adam Page had the belt. Okay, maybe he started something, but it was still fun. It was still hot. When CM Punk got the belt, drama started. People kicking down doors and biting and stuff. When Moxley had the belt, there was no drama. I'm talking about the first time. When Moxley had the belt, there was no drama. When Moxley had the belt again, the drama kind of sufficed. Everybody was focused. See what I'm saying? When there is a person that's a champion, you're automatically the face and the leader, regardless if the EVPs are there or not. Because if you don't notice, the EVPs also have to trust you too. Like it's a fill me in, do me a favor. I know the crowd wants to see me, but they need to see you too. And we didn't get that with MJF's reign. It was more of Tony has to rely on the EVPs. And Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy, I need you to do this. Orange Cassidy, I got you booked for this. Kenny Omega, can you do this? Young Bucks, I want to set this up, but FTR tripping. So that's where I'm getting at. I wanted to be in depth on why I think MJF has not successfully been a great champion at AEW. Now, who's to say, maybe the second time around when he matures a little bit and understands the business that he is in, because I don't think he fully understands AEW. He's been there since day one, but he's acting like AEW is not the major alternative. I don't think he understands that. So until he understands that, maybe they could try again. That's if he stays there. I feel like he wants to go on the other side. I don't think they want him, honestly. It's some people that's going to be in for a rude awakening. Just because they got certain people or they had an eye for certain people. Because if I listen to the press conference, even when Triple H said what he said about Jade, but people think that was shade towards Tony Khan. I'm like, no, that's shade towards Cody Rhodes, because that's Cody's Rhodes girl. That's Cody Rhodes signed her. That ain't shade to Tony. That's shade to the person that's working for him now. So, I don't know. So, let's move on from that, because I said what I said. Let's get on to the Continental Classic tournament. So we know the Continental Classic tournament is started last week during Thanksgiving week. They did announce it, 20-minute time limit, 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and everyone is banned. You have the Gold League and also the Blue League. The Gold League, of course, is Jon Moxley, Swerve Strickland, Rouge, Mark Briscoe, Jay Lethal, Jay White. Blue League, you got Bryan Danielson, Andrade, Brody King, Claudio, Daniel Garcia, and Eddie Kingston. And then, of course, on last Dynamite, we had Swerve versus Jay Lethal. Swerve earned his first 3 points. We had Rouge versus Jay White. Jay White ended up getting his 3 points. And then it was Mark Briscoe versus Jon Moxley. And Jon Moxley ended up getting his 3 points. And then on Collision, it was Daniel Garcia versus Claudio. Claudio got his 3 points. And then it was Eddie Kingston and Brody King. And Brody King did the upset and got his 3 points. So this week, of course, on Dynamite, it will be Rouge versus Jay Briscoe. Oh, that's going to be real tough. Because Rouge don't be knowing that it's wrestling sometimes. And then for Mark Briscoe, he could get there too. And then, of course, it will be Jay White versus Swerve Strickland. That's going to be really good too. And Jon Moxley versus Jay Lethal. Now, Rouge versus Jay Briscoe, I feel like Rouge will get his first 3 points on that match. Y'all can fantasy book it if you want to, if you feel like, oh no, I think that's cool. We having a conversation. If this was a parlay, you got to put what you think in a parlay. But I think Rouge will get his first 3 against Jay Briscoe. I'm sorry, not Jay, but Mark Briscoe. And also, I think Jay White versus Swerve Strickland, I feel like that will be a draw. I feel like they will get their 1 point. I don't think anybody will win that match. I feel like that will go into an actual draw because they both can't really afford to lose in a sense, especially to each other. So I feel like that will be a draw. And then Jon Moxley and Jay Lethal, I feel like Jay Lethal will pull the upset and get his 3 points. I don't think Jon Moxley is winning that match against Jay Lethal. I think Jay Lethal will pull out the upset and get his first 3. That's just my opinion. But what do y'all think in the chat? What do y'all think? Because I think Jay Lethal will pull the upset on Moxley and get his 3. And I think Rouge will get his 3. And then we'll get a draw. So we're going to get a draw, upset, in my opinion. Now, the possible winners for the AEW Continental Classic, of course, anybody can win. But I'm just going to go with I think it may lead to. I feel like Moxley may have a chance. Jay Lethal can't pin Moxley off screen. I feel like it's happening. Feel like he will get his Jay Lethal will get his first win against Moxley. Moxley and Roosh wins. Yeah. Well, I really think it's gonna be Jay Lethal and Roosh. I really think it's gonna be Jay Lethal and Roosh. But I think for the Continental Classic, the winners, it could be Moxley. In my opinion, it could be Swerve. It could be Jay White. It could be Claudio. It could be Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston. Now, those are the ones that I feel like they may be the winners, like probably certified winners. But the underdogs, in my opinion, though, in a Continental Classic, the underdogs is Rouge could possibly be an underdog winner. Daniel Garcia could possibly be an underdog winner. Mark Briscoe and Brody King. I feel like those are the underdogs. Those four could possibly be the underdogs to win. The ones that you don't expect to win but end up winning the Continental Classics. People are kind of counting them out a little bit, but I believe those four could potentially be the winners. Now, these are the people that I just don't see them giving it to. And unfortunately, it's Andrade and Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal is a good sport. I don't think, he wants to win or cares to win because he's a vet, but I think he will pull off some upsets to have the underdogs end up winning. And in Andrade, the way he's been acting, I don't think he's winning either. Like the stuff that he's just been liking on social media and just his aura and just how he's going about things, I don't think he's going to win, but I think he's going to pull off some upsets as well, like to benefit to have people not ending up winning. I don't think it's going to be Andrade. Those are the only two, in my opinion, I don't see winning the Continental Classic, but I do see them pulling off the upsets to mess up certain brackets from them winning. But I have my underdogs and I have my go-to that I feel like is going to win. So if you in the chat, who you think is going to win the Continental Classic? And let me see y'all comments at this. Yeah, I feel like they are fillers. Andrade is fillers to shut him up, and Lethal is, he enjoys the grind, the game. Like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do the Continental, and he's healthy. He stays healthy, so it's just like, yeah, I'll do it, sure. He's a game player. Like, I'm here for the game player. Yeah, Brody King and Garcia. I feel like Daniel Garcia is the underdog because they're going to use that in a sense to get him out of that entertainment phase of that story that he has had, that he's a pro wrestler. And I feel like this tournament is going to get him out of that dancing stuff that he be doing and turn into an actual pro wrestler that he is, because he is a fantastic pro wrestler at that. He has proven that he can hang with the big dogs. He's really, really good. Now, he cut a really, really good promo where he's doubting himself. He's shedding that entertainment. Swerve shouldn't be in it if he's not going to win. I don't agree with that. I feel like Swerve is in it for the sole reason that they are trusting him and definitely going to push him for 2024. If he don't win the Continental Classic, they're definitely going to do something with him. Like I had said earlier, we have to wait until that championship is prestige for them to put him into that picture. But it's more of just a showcase that he is capable of maintaining that dog. Like, it's not just for big moments and stuff like that, just to keep his endurance and things like that. I don't think it has anything to do with that, because you can say the same for Jay White, you can say the same for Moxley, you can say the same for Danielson. You know what I'm saying? It don't have to necessarily be like anybody can win. That's how good this tournament and this lineup is. Anybody can win. There's really no losers to this match unless it's the fillers. Those two, which I think are the fillers, the Andrade and Jay Lethal. But you cannot go wrong with any of the underdogs and also the main people that will probably win. So you can't go wrong. Gold League between Moxley and Swerve. That's interesting. Because me personally, if Jay White doesn't win, they're gonna push him to a feud with him and Orange Cassidy, and Jay White may end up getting that international championship belt to make up for how he had to be a scrub for MJF. Because that belt means something. Orange Cassidy is the reason that that international belt means something. So they will probably most likely do that for Jay White. I wouldn't be surprised if they start putting him on a feud against Orange Cassidy. And that would be a good feud too. Because we see that Orange Cassidy can get dangerous. We see that Orange Cassidy can stoop to your level and possibly beat you better putting a U on you. We've seen it. So yeah. So but that's my topics for today. I didn't no women business. I'm giving them a week off. You never know now because we're at the end of the year, so I'm pretty much done doing the Dynamite and Collision Rampage reviews because we at the end of the year. I will start it back again when the new year or whatever, when I fix up my format and stuff like that. Because as y'all know, my awards is coming up on the 18th. I gotta change that date on the flyer, y'all. That's say the 16th. It's supposed to be the 18th. I was up all night doing it, but it's the 18th. And I'm gonna have guests on here so they can, y'all can laugh at their reactions to certain people that win their awards. I ain't gonna announce it, y'all, but know when y'all know on the flyer and things like that. But it's gonna be it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a party. Party. So be sure to tune in on the 18th for women division needs to get healthier. Nobody's injured. So I don't know what you're talking about. Did somebody get injured recently? I don't know. But yes, December 18th is the AEW, the second annual Keeks AEW Awards. It's gonna be a fun time. It's gonna be a party. Like I said, I'm gonna have guests on here for their reactions. It's gonna be a good time. Y'all reaction probably gonna be funny too. But I am the emperor. I am the king. And I am the board member, and I choose the winners. So hey, this ain't a democracy, okay? It's a kiki-oxy. It's a keeks-oxy. It's a keeks-oxy. Okay, so make sure you stay in tune for that. Thank y'all again for tuning in. Don't take my opinion personal. If you disagree, that's fine. I just wanted to show y'all why I say what I say. Sometimes you need a few episodes to kind of just take a look back and just discuss why it needs to be discussed. But I saw somebody tweeted today, what do AEW need to do in 2024 going forward? First thing first, we have to take the belt off of him. That's first things first. Take the belt off him. Go back to the basics on why AEW was AEW in the first place. And get rid of the bad apples that don't want to be there. And everything will be fine. We can have the 2020-2021 field again without the 2021 fans. We can have that same feel again. Not feel, but feel. Feel, not Pepsi. Okay, so that's one of the things, but that's the key thing. We have to get that belt off of him. The belt has to come off. We know that he's going to win against the Mojo. We know it's leading to Warlow. That's not a good idea either. So Adam Page is the answer. It has to lead to Adam Page. So Adam Page can put that prestige back on what that title means. Like I said earlier, AEW Championship is passion. And we got to get that passion back on that belt so that way it can set the tone for how 2024 will go. Okay? So thank y'all for tuning in and listening to some gospel, listening to some scripture this Monday. I will be here again next Monday. I will come up with another topic because, like I said, I'm giving the whole Dynamite review and Collision review and Rampage review a break because it's getting close to the end of the year. And then it's getting close to my awards. So I got to get ready for that. So I love you all. Y'all have a good night. Hit my getaway music.
You've mentioned a couple names recently. Who were they?
Listen, man. They call me the problem, but you could call me the can man because anybody can get it. Africans, Americans, Dominicans, Mexicans, anybody can get it.
Thanks.